Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Organically podcast. This is your home of organic conversations. I'm your host, the Organic Guy, and around here we have conversation around how we can make our food system work for us rather than against us. So today I'm super excited because I have a special guest with me, as we always do in every podcast, of course. And today I want us to engage in a topic that I think has been left out, especially in the area of agriculture and in the agricultural value chain. That's in the area of social media and digital marketing. And our guest today is an expert in this space. And to be honest, I don't think I could have gotten a better expert to help us talk through this particular topic. She happens to have been named as the top 25 digital women in the country, as well as the top 50 social media power influencers in the country. So she knows something or two about this particular topic, and I'm super excited to have her on. She also happens to be the founder of ATC Digital Academy. She goes by the name of Janet Machuka. So Janet, thank you very much for making time for the pod.
Thank you for having me.
I want us to start a little bit to understand who you are, and I feel like the best way to do that is for you to take us a little bit into your early childhood. So I'm talking about primary school. What is your personality like? Are you an introvert, extrovert? So if we were to talk to guys who were around you at that particular time, how will they describe Janet as an individual back then?
Interesting. Most of the people don't ask me that much. They usually think, I'm a born Tao and, good things happen. We know the city, we know people, we grow our careers. But my life started way back in the village. I grew up in a village in Kisii. The nearest I can mention is Keroka, but please don't ask much. I grew up, I learned in a village school, but what actually gave me an opportunity to know there is more than what I saw in my village, because I thought where the horizon ended is where the world ended. But later on, with education, it exposed me to different places. Now moving from the primary to a new town in a national school, you're meeting people who are saying they come from Lodo. You're like, where is Lodo located? And that is how I actually was able to know that there is more beyond my village. So yes, I grew up in the village. My personality through the village, the only things we used to do is, if you're not doing what your parents told you, you're busy stealing other people's guavas. And always playing around in the mud, in the rain. And it was fun. And I think if I have to give my child a life, if I had to, I will go back to the village. But life happens. Now we are in the city. We are trying to make ends meet. So we are here. In terms of, was I really a child who talks, who keeps quiet and all that? I can say I am both. When it came to expressing myself, it was very hard. Even if in the clique of the kids where we were thinking of let's go and steal guavas, I used to be the one just standing by and waiting to see if the owner is coming. And trust me, I wasn't even warning them when he's coming. I would run away. So you can imagine the kind of personality I had. I didn't want to get into trouble. I didn't want to talk much to people. I just wanted to be me where I am without any trouble. But with social media, I think it has changed how things are with my personal life and my personality, because now I have to talk. With social media, I have to express myself. I have to talk to people. I have to meet people. I have to engage. And especially when you're talking about you building your own career, people are the ones you're going to talk to all the time. And your personality has to change from being an introvert to either an ambivert.
You bring a very important point, especially on that experience of growing up in the rural area. I mean, I myself grew up in the rural area. I remember going to school without shoes. When I look back, like, those are one of the most valuable experiences that have happened to be in my life so far. So in terms of social media, when you're growing up at that time, I don't think like the topic of being a social media influencer was something you ever thought about. Talk me through like the first time you came across social media. Like, when was this? I mean, when are we talking about you getting to social media? What was the first social media platform you involved yourself with?
People like me who grew up from the village, when we went to high school in an area where you are new, you're meeting people who are from towns who are telling stories, they have been watching TV shows. You don't know where you belong, honestly. And my focus was just getting good grades and having a great career. And you know the careers I'm talking about, being a doctor, being a lawyer, good paycheck. But when I finished high school, I remember that's the first time I got access to the phone, not a smartphone, remember. Then I can't even say that was the time of social media, but that's the time I broke that barrier from me just keeping everything to myself and talking to people on social media. Facebook being the exact one. Back in 2012, we had finished high school. And then now, those few months where you're just relaxed waiting for your exams and maybe hoping that you can be, called to your best school campus. I was on social media, on Facebook majorly to connect with people. I didn't have much actually to do, just connect, share my poetry. I love poetry. I love writing. I love reading at the same time. So I used to express myself through that. And having the kind of childhood that I had, for me, it felt like I was motivating someone, a young person somewhere who feels like they cannot be able to get out of where I got out from. I was just doing the motivational speaking, the poetry thing, and social media happened. Then somebody was telling me that you can earn from blogs. I'm like, okay, let me go on startup. I started the blogs, no one paid me. And then I'm like, so how do you go about this? Then another person said there's something called influencer marketing. I was like, okay. Tell me more about it. No one was teaching me anything, so I had to do a lot of research. And then luckily, in 2015, I got a chance to be part of the interns at Standard Media. I was thrown in the digital desk. They told me I'm a social media manager. Honestly, I didn't understand my responsibilities at first, but I thought as a journalist, your work is just to write. Then the first day, I remember they were doing orientation and they asked me, they talked to me about traffic. And then the supervisor asked me, what's the traffic like to the site? I'm like, traffic? I only know one type of traffic, traffic on the road. And then I remember I asked traffic, Mombasa Road, and where Standard Media is located, you can just see the road. And I was like, traffic? They're like, no, we're talking about traffic to the website. And social media is a major thing that can actually push people to go and read what is happening on the blogs, on the websites. And then I think that is when I was like, no, now we are talking about social media in terms of marketing the platforms or even the websites for more viewership and the traffic you're talking about. And then I actually got the interest to learn. Yes, I know I went for a journalism course, but now everything shifted. I was like, I thought my work would be reporting, being on TV, pretty there, and, waiting for everyone to dress me. But now we have something called social media, and people are just sitting behind the desks doing some magic. And I think that is when I was like, I need to learn this thing. It was very hard to find a particular person to teach me in Kenya, especially in 2017. We didn't have much, and people were like, this is something you just post, type a man on Facebook post, and having that, push to love doing research led me to now understand social media marketing from a broader perspective. And that is when I learned, you can actually sit pretty, do some work behind your laptop and phone and make money. So I was like, I'm going all in. I know I'm going to be a journalist, but I have to understand how to use this media, because digital social media places are actually media spaces. How can I use it in a professional way? And having the knowledge of the media landscape from a professional point of view was actually an added advantage.
It's one of those things you really don't know when you go into the space, but it always turns out to be pretty cool, more than actually what you expected. Talking about like influencing, so I guess you've created an account when you are at Standard Media, and at what point do you realize, I'm kind of an influencer?
I don't think it's the person who realizes. It's the people who actually create that, influencing culture to someone to a point they believe, actually, I'm an influencer. So this is what happened in my case. When I was at Standard Media, I was asked to do social media content posting on their pages to push traffic to their websites. But again, as someone who really loved writing, I started writing. So writing, posting my content during the weekend, and I noticed that they were actually doing better.
So this is on a personal account, the writing?
No, Standard Media. My articles were doing great. And I think the fact that I was among the first years who were able to be part of, interns in a media house like Standard Media, it was like aha moment. People started looking for me. Oh, can we have a feature? Can you come to our school, talk to students? I'm like, yes, I'm going. I'm going. And then sometimes the features you have on newspaper, on radio. And I think that is what kind of built that popularity. Before we came to influencing, there's some popularity that started to grow. And my name is, I already have a byline, Janet Machuka. And before I used to call myself, a funny name.
Which is?
Jenny Machuks. But that is when I was like, I need to position myself from a professional point of view. So the popularity from the features I got and how I started communicating on the social media platforms, how I used to talk, and I'm here trying to learn something called social media marketing. So that placement helped me to start working with companies who are doing events. And I always say that sometimes things happen not knowing what we are building is something greater than what we know or what we have in mind. Because for me, growing on social media, I usually say it's a coincidence because there were two Machukas and people confuse the Machukas. I'm this popular Machuka from the newspaper, the campus lady who is doing good things in the mainstream media. But at the same time, there's this another Machuka on social media is doing amazing stuff. So you see those two different people. Now people are confusing, which Machuka are we talking about? And that is actually how the confusion brought me to the social media space, especially Twitter. I didn't know what Twitter was, by the way. My account will show that I opened the account in 2015, but that is the time I was at Standard Media because we were running the management using TweetDeck. So you have to create a Twitter account. But I didn't know that it was a social media platform, honestly. So that is how I actually started growing my popularity. And the influence, I would say, people think influence is just about the numbers, but it's more than the numbers. It's more of the connection you have with people, how you actually talk to them. And that is why I usually say, before you think about growing your online influence, also think about what are you doing in the offline that can make people go and search you on the online space. And this is why most of the time we say, when you talk about social proof, it's not about, let's go on social media and see how many numbers you have. No. Who is talking about you? Which mainstream media has featured you? Where have you been to talk to people about what you represent as an individual? And I think that's what grows your influence easily and more professionally, other than just saying, oh, I have 200,000 numbers, I have influence. Who told you? There are so many people who have millions of followers, but they don't influence us. They don't have any impact into our lives. So what are you doing in the offline that can actually help you be like a social proof to the social media platform where people will be like, you have influenced people from all angles? Yeah,
I think it's one of those neglected points as well, because nowadays everybody thinks, especially we have so many social media websites, so all you just need is log an account, just start creating some kind of viral content, and then boom, there you are. In terms of you are now an influencer. From your journey, how long do you think it took for you to be involved as an influencer? Is it 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years? What is the time frame?
I think for me it was easy and faster. I'll tell you why. Being in the media space, now mainstream media space, and now putting it together with the social media, it's easier for people to actually search you. Yeah. And if you're doing something different, something unique from everyone else, sometimes it tends to put you in front of everyone else. And for me, I officially started doing influencer marketing in 2017. And I think what...
So that's 2 years since you opened an account.
Yeah, but I wasn't doing anything in 2015. I didn't know what was going on with social media. I didn't know much. I was just focusing on the mainstream media. And internship was just 2 months. So remember, I had to go low for some time, but I was learning, understanding what it entails. And I built a tribe on WhatsApp, and I think that is what actually changed everything, where we could just do research, learn, and do 1, 2, 3, and then we go on social media, talk about it, and they're there being like, oh, Janet, yes, we see you. That's how the influence grows. Actually, for you to grow influence, it's not just about working with brands or working with businesses. It's how you impact the next person, or people who want to also learn from you, grow from what you're also doing, especially when you're looking at it from a point of, I just don't want to be an influencer marketer, but I want to be an influence in the space that I operate in. And that is what we call a thought leader. If you want to be a leader in this space, you have to think more than just being a marketer or an influencer marketer. And I think that is what helped me to now grow, because I was busy teaching people what I'm learning in class. And they're busy asking me questions. I'm busy going to campuses to talk for free. By then, nobody used to pay me. And that is why I usually say for influence, it has to be built in so many ways. But if you want to be organic, stop thinking about money first. Because with money, sometimes you divert the goals. But when you're doing it from a point of, I know the kind of leader that I want to build in this space, and maybe I want to become the best marketer in this space, so you have to do it gradually. So for me, what helped me actually grow faster is the mainstream media. I would say the features that I used to get. And then something that changed everything, I never talk about it mostly because I don't want people to know about it. In 2017, I happened to be part of the content moderators for the presidential debate. Yeah, during that time. And I thought I'm going to be behind the scenes. But during the presidential debate, when we were having it, we were doing Facebook Live. And remember, that's the time Facebook had partnered with the presidential debate for them to do features on different candidates. So we were seated, I'm seated pretty, thinking of what to post next. And they're like, young girl, Janet, come, you need to go on social media and do the interview with. I'm like, interview? I was freezing, shaking, sweating, but I'm like, okay, I can do it. If they think I can do it, then I can do it. And I think that really changed everything. Because after I tried requesting for Twitter verification, I got it. And I think that is the first time I noticed that when you're given authority in this space, sometimes you don't need to do much. Now, people help you to build up. And that is how it all actually took off. So say 2017 November was the time my influence took off on social media. But again, it doesn't mean that was enough. This is a big responsibility. You have to show up every day. You have to find out how to constantly talk to your people, grow people, invest in people, give people something of value.
Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned that, because social media is different. I mean, things change so fast on social media, and you have to find ways to stay relevant throughout all that period. And you've managed to do that through that particular period up to where we are right now. Something interesting. So it's fair to say your growth was faster than the average person who wants their social media to grow. So the average person, their growth is going to take a little bit longer than what yours did.
Yeah, though there are some who go viral and they have better team managers and who helps them to actually grow faster too. But I think if you're looking at where I started and when I started, when social media was not a thing, I think COVID-19 changed everything. But for us who were before COVID-19, it was a bit hard. And I would say, yes, it was faster in a sense that during that time, virality was not the thing. Videos were not the thing. And then people never used to go and do things for free more, like going to campuses, spending your time, talk to people. And then I think what changed everything is the aspect of teaching. And when you teach, sometimes it takes time and sometimes it's faster. Like, for example, right now, you might think this podcast will take time for you to grow, but you never know. Maybe something that you did with one of the speakers or one of the your guests here might change everything, and then you start growing very fast in 2 months. So sometimes social media is not a space we can say we know when we will get our breakthrough. We just do our thing, and you never know. Maybe tomorrow you might wake up and find out you were viral throughout the night and you were sleeping, honestly.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. Yeah, something also jumps out is you are sort of self-taught through that process, and also you are more passionate about what you are doing. I think also that that helps. So let's dive deep into the world of social media and digital marketing. So just like give us a short preview. What is, according to you, like how do you like to define social media and digital marketing in general?
I want to do it from a point of someone who doesn't really understand social media. Do you see those moments we meet up with friends? We just want to know what is happening with you, tell us, show us, feed us, and we have a little bit of gossip of some of our friends who are not part of it. That is social media. Only that now we are using gadgets. But again, I want you to look at it from a professional point of view, where I sit and where I am. You never find me gossiping, by the way. But I only gossip on WhatsApp. From a professional point of view, I want you to look at social media as a space that can help you reach out to people that you can't travel to meet. Yeah? Talk to people that you want to build confidence about you in front of them without even meeting them. Talk to people who you want to believe in what you do without even meeting you, without even knowing you. And digital marketing, from my point of view, I say this, is just putting out the best things about you so that people can believe in what you do, what you give, and buy into it. Because the marketing should not actually end as marketing. It should give you value at the end of the day. If they're not buying your word, they should actually buy your product.
Interesting you mentioned about marketing. I saw a post somewhere, someone said posting is not necessarily marketing or branding. So before we dive deep into that, how can someone then leverage social media for their marketing without, posting is part of being on social media. So how can they separate that from just being posting stuff on social media to actually marketing themselves?
Great. I'll use a very good example of us ladies. Right now, if I met 2 more ladies, they might ask me, one thing that before they even ask me, they'll be like, I love your hair. Okay, for ladies, we might be like, oh, I don't even like Anna, but that is but they'll be like, I love your hair. You'll be like, yes. The next question will be, who made it? Who plaited you? Where? Do you mind sharing your contact? You didn't market the person who plaited you. You were just wearing out the hair very nicely and someone liked it. On social media, as much as we say anyone can post, and actually everyone posts, but how do you distinguish the posting from the marketing? I want you to picture yourself as somebody who stands out in a place. No standing out in terms of a color, no standing out in terms of the way you look. No, standing out in the way you give value to people. And the value I know most of the people might ask, what do you mean by value? For me, value is something that you give to somebody that they will be like, I missed this. You have filled the gap. Not they will see you, people can't see you and be like, you're pretty. They can't be like, you fill the gap of, they were looking for someone pretty and then you say they are pretty. No, it has to be value that you're trying to give them. For example, if I read a post that you posted, the same post in the marketing, in the agricultural space, let's say you posted, I posted, and then I like your post more. So the person likes your post more than they like my post. The question is, what made them like your post more? High chances are they gained something out of it, be it education, knowledge, be it a solution that you're trying to offer through that post, be it a connection, because they felt like you really understand what they're looking for or what they relate to, than someone who just posted for the sake of posting, And that is why when it comes to posting and marketing, you have to be very keen on how you are connecting with the person. So think about it from a point of what kind of collaboration are you bringing in? In terms of collaboration, I know I've talked about the value. I've talked about how you make someone feel, how you make someone think, how you make someone's, thoughts go like, aha, I didn't know about that. The collaboration bit has to be part of it. When you're posting, because there's people who are constantly like, oh, I'm posting every day, but there's nothing coming out. Are you collaborating? And let me break down collaboration. And I think this is where most of the people forget what it entails. Collaborating is not just Brian and Janet meeting and having a podcast. No. Sometimes we might not meet, we might not partner, but what we can do is mention people. Okay? By mentioning people, you're collaborating with them without them knowing. And this is what it's going to do to you. You have mentioned my name somewhere on a post. You didn't tell me. We didn't agree anything. And then I see the post because I was tagged. High chances that I will retweet, reshare, or even comment. That's a collaboration. And the moment I give you my audience by resharing, reposting or sharing, it means I've given you a totally new audience for you to gain more and to engage. And that is the collaboration I'm talking about. So marketing should not be about those business those business definitions we did like, marketing is for you to make a profit, blah, 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 all that. It should be more of how is it connecting you to the next person. Especially on social media, it has to do with connection, community building, collaboration, and the most important thing, conversation.
Interesting. You've just given us a snippet about marketing. So I want us to also help us understand about branding. Is there a difference between marketing and branding? And if there is, can you help us explain what's the difference?
In marketing, you have to be known. It's I want you to think about it from a point of you want to start a business in a specific location. What do you look out for first? The gap in the market, and then the moment you notice, you're going to market it. Marketing is just letting people know that you actually now exist. For branding is actually, I usually say branding is a facet of marketing. Okay? Why? You can market everything that you want, but if you have not positioned yourself better and in a way that is distinct, in a way that you can be seen, people can think about you, remember you, no one is going to care about it. So for marketing, it's all about, can people see me, talk about me? For branding, it has to do with, how am I different from all these people in this market?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. That explains why there are so many. For example, if you walk into a supermarket, there are so many oils, but you can find a lot of people gravitating towards a certain kind of oils. So they have the brand already, they have that goodwill of people, but marketing is sort of reminding them, hey, we are still here, can you pick us off the shelf? So mainly our audience is about agriculture. This podcast mainly is geared towards creating awareness on our agriculture and how can we help them. So one of the things I've noticed is in the agricultural space, a lot of people don't take social media and digital marketing seriously. So I want you to talk to a person who hasn't taken social media seriously, or they don't even know what social media is all about. Lay for us the foundations that they should think about if they want to start, hey, this is my first time, I want to go all in on social media. Where should they start?
I love that question because I usually joke a lot with my friends. I usually tell them that I want to be a farmer at the end of the day, as much as I'm helping the agricultural people understand different things. And they're like, you go to the farm, you hold a djembe, you do ABCD. I'm like, what do you mean by farming fast in this era? Does it entail you actually being on the farm? You have Think Organic. Do you usually go to the farm all the time? You're just solving something in the tech space. So I'm here. I'll use me as an example. Someone who doesn't really understand social media, and I'm a farmer. Maybe people might wonder, what am I going to post? Farming is a dirty job, because that is what most of the people say. But is it really dirty? And another question I will ask, when you talk about social media, have you ever seen people wearing suits all over? No, unless it's on LinkedIn when you're posting about a new job position, you went somewhere for professional reasons, right? Social media is, I will go back to what I said when I started. Social media is like that meetup you do with your friends when you want to know what is happening with everyone. And that is why every social media platform always asks you what is in your mind or what is happening, and what do you think, what is in your mind? Because they are asking you to share what do you want other people to know. I'm a farmer. I'm in the farming space. I've never been on social media, but in high chances are I might be having social media platforms to just engage with people, to know what is happening. Nowadays, we get all our news from social media. And you want now to transition from just getting information or also sharing what is happening around you to, I want to position myself as a farmer in this space and I want to grow myself. I want you to think about this. If I have to ask you, tell me about yourself, what will you say? Will you be like, give me until tomorrow. I see what I can do today and then I will tell you. No, you'll be like, I'm so and so, and this is what I do. In the farming space, there are so many things that happen. It doesn't have to be just about your farm. You can start the conversation from a broader perspective. Farming is huge. It has so many facets, just like social media marketing. It has so many facets, by the way. And that is when you usually confuse between digital marketing and social media marketing. Some people go like, I don't understand anything. Digital marketing is like an umbrella. Social media is part of the components that are under the umbrella. That's the difference. But now when you talk about how can I grow myself as a farmer on social media, I want you to think about this. Just the way you wake up in the morning and say good morning to the people you live with. That is how you should actually on social media. Just say, yes, good morning, fellow farmers. What are you up to today? If you're going to the farm, take a photo, share about it. It's just like sharing your story throughout the day. If you want to overthink social media as a farmer, you'll never get something to post. You'll just be waiting until your harvest is ready. And then you'll be like, oh, I got very good yields. And then you post. But what you need to do is talk about what is happening in the present. The reason to why some people or brands or individuals or companies on social media are doing better than others is because they live in the moment. Even on social media, for us consumers, we live in the moment. We want to see what is happening at that particular time. We don't want stories that happened 2 years ago. And that is why most of the time you find that there's a post you did on Friday last week. It did very well, but we don't care about it. We care about what are you posting today. So as a fan, what are you posting at that particular time, that day? Even if it's a challenge, post it. Even if it's an opportunity, post it. Something you planned out, post it. But don't overpost.
So there's actually overposting.
Yeah, you get bored. You are too much into you want us to be all over our face, everywhere. You will like, no, Brian, you need to stop. Some people might unfollow you. So by posting it, I feel like you need to balance also. By balancing, I mean, talk about you, talk about your farm, talk about the industry, talk about your fellow farmers. And that is what actually has made farming in the social media space interesting. Collaboration, not competition. Because I've seen so much collaboration between you guys, and I really appreciate what you're doing. And that is what has made social media in terms of farming easier and very engaging other than any other industry. If you have noticed, especially on Facebook, you see a group on tomato farmers. They are encouraging each other, they are growing, they are talking about their challenges, and because they understand each other in a way that the area is for learning, and learning, you never know if you're going to get the yield that you are projecting. It helps actually have the conversation from time to time. So for a farmer who's starting, I want you to think about social media as something new every day. The way you wake up to a new day, you hope everything will be great, but you're also wondering if something's going to go bad. Talk about those great stuffs. Talk about the bad moments. Engage with your fellow people. Ask them what is happening. Sometimes you don't have to share anything. Look for people to come to your platform to talk about it. And the most important thing on social media is conversations. Farmers are people who love talking. I'll tell you for sure, because they're constantly talking about their farms, constantly talking about the yields. They're thinking about the market. They're thinking about the yield. They're thinking about the pesticides and all that. So can you create conversations? Don't post, create conversations. And if you feel like you don't have anything to say, this is the trick I usually give people. Go map out the people who have already done it in your space. Go under their comment section. Notice every time what time they post. Be among the first people to share a thought, a reply. And make sure that that reply is not just a reply, oh, this is amazing. Give a thought, give an opinion, guide them on 1, 2, 3 if you feel like they didn't share much. Because high chances are someone will click your profile from what you commented. So I know someone is wondering, I have 2 followers, I don't have accounts, where should I start? Find out the people already in this space. Brian is here. Leverage his podcast, leverage his YouTube channel on social media platforms. Be among the first people to actually comment. Because one thing I've noticed about collaboration is the connection and relationship you build. And relationship is not built by, hey, yo, I got your number from so and so, I want us to do ABCD. No, you have to learn the person. That's why most of the time we reach out to someone, you'll be like, hi, I love what you're doing. I've been engaging you. I loved this post. So you can pull people closer and make them want to engage you more. So for a farmer, first things I would say, don't overthink. First, go out there. Even if you think Brian is too far to reach, you can. It's actually very close.
Yeah, it's a DM away.
Before even you get to the DM, engage with that person's post so that by the time you go to the DM, I'll praise them a little bit. You know, I've been loving your content. I love what you've been doing. So now I am thinking of doing ABCD. Trust me, people will never say no. And that is how you start the collaboration. And find communities, because nowadays you have so many farmer communities. The Organic Guy podcast is a community on its own. So be part of them, engage them. And sometimes if you feel like you have something to talk about, be it on a podcast, in a conversation that is live on Instagram, and you have not been identified, vouch for yourself. We are constantly on a teaching mode at this era, and social media is doing that very nicely when it comes to the farming space. So, are you vouching for yourself? Think about it. There's something that you know the next farmer doesn't know. Branding doesn't happen in terms of colors lately, by the way. Branding is more of also, how are you identifying yourself in front of people? What kind of image are you living? What kind of perception are you living? And that is why we usually say, for us at the moment, branding is what kind of conversation are we living in a room where we were. If people are not going to talk about us, then there's an issue. It's not gossip. If people are not going to talk about us when we are out, that means we have not branded ourselves enough. So how are you going to do it? Poke holes. Find where you can be able to fit in. Vouch for yourself. Talk about what you do. And also don't shy away from blowing your own trumpet. I usually tell people, be shameless at growth. When you want to grow, don't shy. Do it, and do it boldly.
That's a lot of great insight that you've given there. And something interesting that I've picked up is, don't wait for it to be perfect. I mean, a lot of people just want to show like the end results. And I think there's a lot of things that can be gained from the struggles that the farmers are going through. And if I look, actually, most of the content that a lot of people tend to enjoy, at least relate to, is the struggles that farmers are going through, right? So maybe I had a crop and rains came and they destroys all my crops. So those kind of stories I think are more relatable, because there's so many people who are going through the same thing, and farmers most often are not willing to share those kind of stories. I know you've been involved in the agricultural space. Is there an example that you can share with us, or a story that you've seen in terms of like a transformation? Someone who was on social media or who actually came in social media just recently, and they've been using social media for their advantage. One
individual who I feel like his journey, I've also been part of it in one or the other. His name is Fred Munene. He's a Kenyan. At the moment, he does a lot of agronomy services and also consultancy with farmers. When he wanted to actually use social media, because there's some people who find they're young people, they don't have the farms and they don't have the funds to start off any farming business, but in one way or the other, they feel like they have the passion to help farmers understand the digital platforms and also be able to access particular services, especially when you talk about agronomy services. You don't need to have a farm for you to be an agronomist, and that is why they visit each and every other person's farm to understand what is happening and help them in one or the other. So when he was coming in the digital spaces, I remember he didn't know how to go about packaging, branding, because most of the time people tell you, oh, think about colors, think about a logo. How many people out here have logos? So many. How many people out here have very beautiful colors? They even do t-shirts, but where are they? In their closets. And they are not known. We don't even know even they exist. So when he was joining social media, I remember he was really having a hard time on how to grow the engagements. And I remember I had to bring in one of my team members who really helped me also in my personal branding on social media. And one thing I remember us having a conversation about is how can you tell a story all the time? Tell your stories, even if they are very short stories. Tell us how your day was. Tell us what you encountered today as a farmer. Tell us that challenge. As much as they might sound like cliche or things that some people don't want, as long as they're not talking about your personal life, trust me, they're going to change. So he started working on that and then sharing more and then also featuring people, because now he was getting these, conversations and attention. Because at the end of the day, if you want to grow on social media, attention is the most important thing, attention. And we are not talking about attention seeking. The fact that you can hold someone's 2 minutes to read what you have shared, to listen to what you have said, to watch what you have posted is very important. And that is why we're being told every time, if the first 3 seconds, people are not going to be attentive to listen, then you need to change. You need to maybe work on a strategy or something. So we started on how can you tell a story every time you visit a farm, talk about it. I know it's not your farm. I know you may feel like you're marketing them, but don't feel like that. Just share it because it's part of your story. Right now, it's how many years? We're heading to the 3rd year. He has grown to a very huge influencer. I've seen him travel across the globe. I'm like, wow, I wish I were the one. But you see, the kind of things that you might do on social media, we think that people are not watching. People are actually watching. So push forward. Do something that not everyone else is doing. And the best way to do it on social media is not to do it alone. Find people. Because high chances are how people are connecting nowadays, it's not about find us someone who has 200,000 numbers. No. Brian, do you know someone who can do ABCD? You'll be like, yes, I do. I have someone. And that is how people connect. So find a way to connect with them. And that is one thing I think I have been using his personal brand as an example to teach more young farmers. Like, it's not about the competition you guys have. It's about how you can collaborate, talk about other people's stories, give people a chance to share their story using your platform. Then they will talk more about you, because high chances are anybody's story has people behind it to actually push them to grow. Speaking of that, I remember you mentioned self-thought. I was like, really? There are so many people behind me who have been teaching me every single day. The fact that I'm the final product to push myself to show that I've done something. Unless I do that, you think I'm not, as in I don't have a team of people behind me. You think that I'm just self-taught. Everything is by myself. Everything I have done, everything that I've grown, and the kind of things that I'm doing even now, I usually say it's the people around me. So I can't say I've self-taught myself on anything. It's a push. And with the push, it helps me to know how to balance, how to grow, and how now to package myself better for anyone else.
Is there your favorite social media? I mean, I guess I know it, but what is your favorite social media platform?
Twitter is my most favorite platform. And I think it's because it's easier for me to network with people there. That's what I usually say. So other platform, yes, you can connect with people, but with Twitter, I can literally get access to anyone across the globe easily with just a search. On LinkedIn, unless I start finding for connections, and it's tedious. On Instagram, I don't even know how to find people. I just wait for people to land on my page. On Facebook, I usually look at Facebook as family, school friends, and all that. But Twitter is my best, because for me, as someone who loves conversation, someone who loves bringing people together in communities, Twitter is the best. And I think the fact that I found a way to navigate through the trolls and focus makes it my best.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the troll. Let's talk about the mental health side of social media. You've been there for a long time now. Yes, some people are darlings of people on those social media platforms, but I'm sure you've also got some trolls and some people who don't necessarily like your work or like you by person. So how do you go through that, especially from a mental perspective?
One thing you have to know, even if you have 10 friends on the offline, they're not on social media, 8 friends don't like you. Only that they can't tell it to your face, I don't like you. The things they just don't. That's why you find that you find gossip and quarrels among friends from time to time in a group, you know. But on social media, it's different. It's like people have removed their masks. Yeah, some people might hide behind some fake accounts and try to troll you, but you know, trolling is not like abuse. Trolling is more of, I need your attention, man. You know, I need your attention. You need to see this. You need to feel bad, you know, because you've been a darling to many. But now, I don't want you to be a darling anymore. I want you to react. I usually picture it from that point. A troll is somebody who just wants you to feel bad about yourself or about something that you're doing so that you can react. And the moment you start reacting, do you know you're giving them the audience now to push harder? You know, they'll be like, yes, we made it. I've been trolled so many times, but one thing that has helped me is don't respond to the trolls. Just do your thing. Because the moment you keep on responding, is like they have now gained that attention they wanted. And the moment they gain that attention, trust me, they're going to hit harder from time to time. So how do I manage it? It's not something that everyone should fancy. By the way, trolling is bad. But sometimes I used to cry. Yeah, it's okay to cry. It's okay to cry. Because there are people who say some things you really feel so bad about yourself. And sometimes they're questioning yourself. But it's not like you have a problem. It's because of what somebody has said that you can't even fathom. Some people end up believing what is said because we put so much time into them and attention, and then we end up now mental health related issues. So for me, I cry, and I think sharing really helped me. I have a small team of brand manager, and then I also have a few friends who, when really pissed off by a troll on social media, log out. I call them, I complain, I express myself. They're like, are you okay? Yeah, good. Now you can continue with your life. Until to date, I can't say that I've grown a thick skin, because sometimes there are people who say some things, they will still take you back to, what do you think about me? How do you see me? You know? But I have allowed myself to feel bad, but I don't have to feel bad for a longer time. And I allow myself to feel bad even if it's 15 minutes. Okay, done. Now go back to reading your goals. What did you want to do on this piece? What do you want to achieve? Do you want to be trolled all the time? No. Then you focus on your goals. So on how to navigate that, having a group of people you can constantly talk to, even if it's not about the personal issues, people can keep you grounded to your goals and focus on what you're doing. It really helps. And a community. And a community, I mean, nowadays we have social media platforms where we have, like, every Wednesday we have conversations. Every Thursdays you have a live session. You have to talk about a specific topic. Be around such communities, because they will help you block the negativity from people you don't actually need their attention, and they don't need your attention, to people who actually serve the same interests. And that is where I think now growth happens, meaningful connections happens, and then the trolls double down because you have a legion. And another thing I usually say is do some mental health breaks, especially from social media. Social media is good, but it can really consume your all. Find times you can just be away, use the tools that are available, automate content, and leave that platform. Go do other things. Have fun. I'm the kind of a person people think I'm constantly stuck somewhere in a corner scrolling through social media. Maybe they have no idea. Maybe I have someone behind me who posts when I'm not around. That's one. Maybe I automated content and posted, and then I was on social media for 1 hour to check what was happening. In a day, I have like a routine on how I spend my time on social media. And I remember I'm there for business, not just for fun. So I have time for fun, I have time for business. In a day, I usually spend at least 5 hours. That is work plus social media. But in terms of what to engage in, you'll never find me engaging in chit chats that don't really make any sense or that I value or fancy. I'm constantly on, I want to deal with professionals. So take your time to learn who to connect with, because at the end of the day, if you want to grow on social media, you have to know who to engage, who to connect, who to collaborate, which community to be part of. But I feel like people who are starting right now are very lucky. In 2018, 2017, where were communities on social media? People were being trolled and living on the social media. Nowadays, you can segment. You want to focus on this, and then you just focus on that. You can block people. You can just focus on the few people that you have. And that's why I say, don't let social media consume you. As much as some of us are making money out of it, sometimes it reaches a point you feel like you're constantly on the mode of getting more and more and more. But always ask yourself, after that, then what? Can you step out and meet Brian face to face for that cup of coffee? Yeah, talk about other things. Don't take everything to social media. That's something else. Trolls sometimes consume what you give them. Okay? Even our mental health in some way, so many people who have decided to deactivate completely on social media, sometimes you find that it's what they used to feed the people. So if you feed people so much of your private information, someday they're going to use it against you. So be overprotective of what you share. If it's business, be about business. If it's your personal life, well and good. Prepare your mental health toughness because the trolls are on their way. Yeah. But I know people say grow a thick skin, but before we get there, allow yourself to feel bad, allow yourself to feel irritated, but always remember this. What you post sometimes is what becomes your downfall. So be very keen on what you share. If you feel like some information is gonna drain you, don't post it. People can never troll you because of your workplace, by the way. Very rare. That is professional.
Is there goals that you think someone should have on social media? Maybe it's a number of followers, or it's a number of clout you want from social media, because as you said, it can be a treadmill of things. If you get to 1,000 followers, you want to get to 2,000. In your opinion, what is the right? Should someone have an expectation when they are going into social media?
Yeah, expectations are good, but I think the best expectation you can have right now should not be about followers. Because if you see how nowadays people grow their number of followers, there are some which are genuine, there are some which are not, because people have gone ahead and found different tools to buy followers. People have done something viral on a single day and then they grew followers. But does it authenticate them to be the best influencers or the best people in the space? No. So my goal, I will tell everyone who is thinking of getting to social media, should not be just about the numbers. Focus on the relationships that you build with the people that you want to gain something from, and that you want them to be your word of mouth ambassadors. Because at the end of the day, if you have 200,000 followers and you say you're a social media marketer and there is nothing coming out of it, what's the essence? Then you're wasting your time, you're wasting your numbers. So think about the relationships you create with people. I'll tell you for sure, 99% of the clients that I get and the companies that end up having contracts with me, I didn't pitch. Someone pitched it for me. But why did they do that? The relationship we created and how I represented myself. So focus on representation, perception building, image building, authentication. How can you be authentic in front of people? And then now the relationship building. You can never go wrong with building the right relationships with people. They'll always be clapping for you.
Let's say a farmer wants to get into social media. What is the best social media platform they should start with?
Do we really have the best? All of them are good depending on how you package yourself. There's some who can start with Twitter and they make it. There's some who start with LinkedIn, they make it. The main thing should be what kind of content do you want to venture into more. Because if you want to if you are an audio person, you have to do now the podcasts. And if you're into video, you can do on Instagram, you can do on YouTube, TikTok. So first of all, identify what do you feel like it's easier for you to create in terms of content. And another question will be, who do you want to connect with the most? Do you want to talk to the Gen Zs? Do you want to talk to the professional people who you want to fund your business, to fund your farm, your thoughts, your idea? Go to LinkedIn and do that. So first of all, sit down, write your goals, and let your goals be aligned with the platforms that you want. If you want conversations, land on Twitter.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. Do you think someone has to choose, like, go all in one platform, or they can just sort of tiptoe on all these other platforms for them to make it?
I usually say just have footprints in all the social media platforms, but at least pick one that you can really build first.
Go all in,
and then
okay.
after you've built in that, so you feel confident about it, now spill those numbers to another platform. That's the easiest, because at least you'll be known by one platform, and then you let people know. You can also find me on Instagram. You can find me on TikTok. Yes.
So let's talk about one of your pinned tweets on Twitter. It's a motivational tweet, as well as I think there was something more than that was going on when he wrote that tweet. So it's about perseverance. Like, if you're building or if you're starting a company, just keep going. Don't give hope. So give us a little bit of context. What was going on when you were writing that tweet?
I wrote and pinned that tweet in 2019. We are in 2024. And every time I'm like, should I remove it? I'm like, nah, this is a motivation. I had started Africa T-shirt. It was just conversations through the chat, the questions, in Kitambo on Twitter, we used to do question, answer without the X spaces. And we had started in 2018. So in 2019, I was like, I have this idea of building a school, but I have nothing. Like, I have no money. I have no developer, nothing. Just the money that I'm picking to just grow myself, pay my rent, pay my bills, and that is it. And I remember with the co-founder, I was like, I really have this idea of building this school, but I've talked to people are saying nice things, but nothing is coming forth. So I was like, I'm going to close this thing. And then they asked me one question. If you have to remove ATC from your name, what do you remain with? I'm like, I still have me as Janet Machuka. They're like, tell us, do you know why people know you the most? I'm like, tell me. They're like, you teach. You're open to give information. You're open to teach. You're open to offer solutions. You're open to even jump into a podcast and a call with someone without even asking money. That's your passion. I'm like, So teaching is my passion. So I'm building a company, yes, in the training space, yes, but I don't see money. And then they told me this. Most of the companies that have been in this space, even if you hear the stories of Kiwi, the stories of Bata, they have been here for years. But the story started somewhere. Sometimes they thought of shutting the idea, but they were like, no, maybe I have my tribe. So the tweet, I remember that day I wanted to just shut down the conversations. I was like, nah, I'm not doing this. Every Wednesday I'm availing myself 1 hour, 2 hours talking to people who are giving me nothing. I'm spending money to prepare all this, but it's not working. And I wrote that as something to remind me every single day I jump on Twitter, and when I'm low, I usually go to my pinned tweet, because it reminds me that as much as I haven't achieved exactly what I wanted, it keeps me on toes. It taught me to find solutions as I work on that end goal, but other solutions like, what else can I do? What else can I grow? How else can I help people grow? And that is why teaching is one of the things I feel like I won't stop anytime soon. And funny thing is that a couple of my friends have saved me on their phones, Professor Janet. So that is also a motivation. I'm like, I'm not deleting that. I'm going to be a professor, yes, but from a point of, I own an edtech company that is helping businesses learn, grow themselves on the digital platforms as professionals.
I must say the tweet is pretty motivational. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the future and what you see happening in the social media space. Right now, there's a lot of talk about AI and what it's going to do. There was a talk about Internet of Things at one particular time. I'm not sure if people remember. There's a talk about decentralization, like social media becoming decentralized. So I want you to share with us, where do you see the future of social media going?
Social media will have more built into it, especially with AI. The algorithm is going to change drastically, and I like the fact that it changes every single day. So you have to be on toes to know what is happening or what is going on, what has changed, and you have to learn and unlearn all the time. And I think that is something that social media is teaching everyone. It's not about how we used to do in the past. You get your degree after fourth year and then you're like, it's somewhere, you never go back to class again. With social media, you have to be in class every single day. You have to. And having said that, it reminds me on Meta. One thing I like about that platform is that today you think you are a pro in doing ads. Tomorrow, nothing. So in one or the other, as much as the trends are also part of it, the likes of AI and all, it needs you to be hands-on, to learn, to also learn new skills, to unlearn new skills. And this is where community, I feel, comes in handy. Because in a community, you have people who have different interests. You might not be there to learn everything, but it's very tough to know everything on social media. Very tough. And as much as I call myself a digital marketer, sometimes I'm like, I don't think I'm the right digital marketer, because being a digital marketer is a huge title. You have to learn a lot of things. You have to know a lot of things. So you have to know where is your specification. What do you want to focus on so that you can extensively learn more about it and learn on how to stay on it by being updated on what is happening on a daily basis. The future of social media, we will have a lot of decentralization, smaller communities, and these communities will be competing with each other. But again, the question will be, what kind of perception are you going to leave in people's minds? What kind of image are you building as an individual, as a business? Speaking of businesses, because I know there are people in the farming space who are like, oh, where will my business be when it comes to social media? What we have learned lately about social media is that social media and businesses is that it's very hard to put the two aside. Brian can't operate alone and think organic to operate on its own. We need someone behind it to represent that business. So the future of social media will be like, we have to and we must represent our businesses in a way that is professional. Sometimes we might be a little bit unprofessional and go into the fun bit. That's part of life, and that is why it's called social media. So we will drop down to being too markety or being too salesy to being too social. So the future of social media will cut across the generations. But it's a very good confusion. Sometimes I'm like, right now baby boomers are reaching out. They're like, hey, I want to know how to go about branding on TikTok. You're like, are you going to compete with the babies? But that is what is happening. So it's about us learning also on how to deal with the different generations. That's another thing, because that is, I think, the major thing we have been aware of lately. Learning on how to spread your content across the generations, because everyone is there. My mom is on Facebook. Sometimes when I post something, even if it's a joke, I have to call and explain. Yeah. And another thing that I usually look at on the future of social media is that social media content is the main thing, yes. But again, the content is our story. The content is our challenges. The content is our bad moments. But again, it doesn't have to be about us alone. What content can we have about other people? Social media has changed to be our life, our surrounding. How can we bring all that to our platform? But I didn't say it, you share your personal life. Share what you're comfortable. There are people who are comfortable sharing their personal lives. There are people who are not. So share what is comfortable with you on the platforms. Maybe one last thing about the future of social media. Social media has changed the way we dress, the way we eat, the way we think, the way we walk, the way we talk. At the end of the day, I want you to think about you. I want to think about what you offer. I want to think about who you live by, close by with. So it's going to change the way we operate, the way we deal with people, but don't forget the people you can actually meet, touch, hug, and all that. So smartphones will be very cheap. Everyone will access social media, but again, it's us to know how we package it for the future generation. So for me, I look at it from a point of, if you can be a professional, the better, because you're going to help so many other people to learn how to follow that path. And we are the people who make social media. Social media doesn't make us, it's us who make it.
True. Talking about the impact of social media, we were lucky enough, I think, to witness how powerful social media can be in Kenya. Recently, we saw protests that were Gen Z led, that were actually organized on our social media platforms to a large extent. What was your observation about that, and what are some of the key lessons you learned from that particular protests?
I'm the kind of a person who shies away from politics. But this time round, wow, there was nothing like shying away. I had to. And I think this is one of the things that the protest taught me. Sometimes we might shy away from things, especially protests that have started using social media. We might shy away as people who are thought leaders in this space, but there are things we have to constantly think about, the social aspects of it. As much as we can be farmers who are professionals, we have to also talk about the social impact about it. So what I've learned is that it's good to be part of the protest as an individual, but you also need to know what angle are you going to use. Don't go all over abusing people just because everyone else now is abusing everyone. Learn on how to approach it. The reason why I'm saying that is that I happened to have one of our clients call, and then they were like, we loved what we saw in Kenya. The protests were ongoing. Everyone was always talking about it. And even the people who never talked anything to do with politics were part of it. You also posted about it. I was like, yo, what did I miss? But they're like, but we like how you approached it. You didn't abuse anyone. You also were trying to unify people and also push the agenda. So with the protests, I think what it has taught me is every professional, as much as you want to focus on your niche, you need to learn that there's some things that affect you directly. Don't shy away from them. Just find a way to talk about them and engage with them. And something else is that we are different generations. Just because you're a baby boomer, you think respect is the most important. It doesn't mean the same to a Gen Z. So learn how to balance, how you talk to people, how to engage with them, how to connect with them. Yeah, I think those are the main two lessons. But at the end of the day, social media is for social reasons. Businesses just found themselves there. As professionals are trying to gain something out of there because that is where we found people are engaging the most. But we should never miss out on the social aspect of it.
Yeah. And I think if someone ever doubted the impact that social media can have, I think that whole fiasco just proved that you cannot afford to take social media for granted. So as we finish here, I want to hear your thoughts on what actually motivates you to continue doing this, because I know there's a lot of challenges. As we said, there's trolls who are on your heels, who want to be on your neck and every single thing that you do. So from your perspective, what do you think keeps you going?
What keeps me going? I think number one is my team. And number two, the industries I represent. Because as a social media marketer, I don't engage in all the industries. I have specific industries that I represent. And that was intentional because I have interest in them. For example, I have interest in the agricultural space. Growing up in a farm and also working with businesses in the farm, you know how it's easy and fun, And I think those are some of the things I've tried to link them so that at least I don't have to lose track or lose passion being part of those spaces. Even though there are times there's no money, there are times you're drowning in money, but then it happens. Yeah, exactly. So that motivates me, number one, the dynamism of digital. Every single day something new is coming, you're not doing the same thing over and over again. And I love that spontaneity. Today something is trending and tomorrow everything has changed. And the fact that people, but that is crazy and good. People can change how a platform operates. It's very interesting because the trends don't just happen. It's the people. It's the people come up with that. And for us who constantly listen in and monitor, it's also a challenge to us to feel, by the way, we have to know that people are constantly doing things that best fit them. So I think that aspect of spontaneity really matters and pushes and dynamism. I love just wanting to know what is happening. Yeah. So that's why I love social media more every day, because I'm like, hey, today is a new day. I want to see what is happening. It's just like saying Jesus is coming soon, but we don't know when. But we're like, yes, let's wait for him.
Yeah, I think that's one of the beauties of being on social media and actually having an interest in something. You get a lot of motivations, a lot of things that keeps you going. So this is a part of the podcast where I like to shift a little bit. So it's a segment that I call the rapid fire questions. So what happens, I've prepared 10 questions for you. The idea behind is just to get a little bit out of your personality and try to learn more, just in case it didn't come out of the conversation itself. So 10 questions, No right or wrong answers. It's just based on your experiences so far. So, you ready?
Let's go.
So, the first question is what was the first career you dreamt of having as a kid?
Teacher.
If you had to eat only one meal for the rest of your life, what will it be?
Ugali and any traditional vegetable.
Third question, when you're not working, how do you like to spend your time?
Watching documentaries and cooking a lot of chapatis that I end up calling friends to come and pick.
Chapatis for free? I think that's a good deal. The fourth question, what are you afraid of most?
Being broke.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. The fifth question, what will you prefer, social media or social networking?
Social networking, but a bit of both.
The sixth question, what's your favorite book?
Oh, the Bible, especially Psalms.
Seventh question, if you could invite 3 people dead or alive to a party, who would they be?
Oh, my mom will judge me, so I won't invite her. So let me see. My manager, my sister, my best friend, and maybe, my best friend.
The eighth question, what's something you've done that has made you extremely happy?
Wow. That's emotional. Where I am. Yeah, let me just say that where I am. My journey is it's beautiful. Yeah. It makes me happy how I have been able to navigate through. Yeah.
So the ninth question, what quote resonates with you most?
I won't say keep going because that is also part of my journey. I usually say that the one that I usually use all the time, there is always pain in success.
So the last question, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give to your 18-year-old self?
You don't have to focus on one career. I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a doctor. Just be open. Let life come through the way it will, but always push, do something new, learn. Learning doesn't stop at the university, you getting a certificate. Throw yourself into the space. There are so many lawyers who have very good papers, but they're no longer lawyers, they're farmers. And they're doing it very well. So be open. Life is just a one-time thing. So push yourself. Don't be like, I want to be one thing for the rest of your life. If you want to change that.
All right. Thank you very much. So those are 10 questions. Thank you very much for making time to be on the podcast. Really appreciated the conversation. I think a lot of people are going to find this conversation very insightful. Where can guys find your work?
Find me on Google. Search me, Janet Machuka. You'll be able to actually access all my social media platforms easily, or even my website. Because I think that's the easiest, instead of you going to my Twitter, Instagram, and all that.
So your website?
My website, janetmachuka.com.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much. And till the next one, remember to be organic. Cheers.